You are listening to the Booktrospective Podcast, a podcast for all types of books. And even though we read all types of books across all different types of genres, we want to give a disclaimer. Many of our books and a lot of our content sometimes is intended for mature audiences. And we don't believe in censorship, but we do want our listeners to have the opportunity to decide if our episode or podcast is good for them. So with that, let's get into the episode. Hey, it's Dominique.
And Keely.
And you are, I was going to say you are watching.
Disney Channel.
That's exactly where my brain went. You are listening to Booktrospective, and I am crazy. Okay. This week we are covering Saving Noah by Lucinda Berry. But, Keely, how has your weekend/week been?
It's been okay. Nothing really notable. Yeah, it's been...
That's it?
Nothing. Yeah.
I am almost done with the semester. I have a test left, and that's it. And I'm so thankful because it's been miserable. And that's pretty much it. I read 12 books last month. Was it 12 or 11? I don't know. I did good. I read not Songbirds. What's it called?
Sunrise on the Reaping.
Sunrise on the Reaping. My heart hurts. I'm so tired of reading books that hurt my heart. But it was really good. So that's it fixed my Onyx Storm problems, and now I have Hunger Game problems. So there's that.
I do have a story for you.
Oh.
It's just a funny little story. Tristan.
I was going to say Tristan.
Yeah. So I think Saturday we went to Walmart because he wanted to take a bath.
I saw you in the cart. Is this about the avocados?
No.
Oh, okay.
But that was cute and funny too. But he needed bubble bath. He wanted to take a bath and he needed bubbles. So we went to Walmart. I got some groceries, got him some bath stuff, and I am paying partially with cash. Mm-hmm. So I get like $4 and some change back, and he's like, "You can have the pennies." And I'm like, "Okay." And he said, "But these are mine. I'm rich." And I'm like, "Okay, bug." Anyways, so fast forward, which he's been walking around the apartment. I'm rich. I got $4. I'm rich. And Sunday night, I believe. Yeah. He's like, "I want cereal." I said, "No." He said, "I want cereal in a bag." "No, you're not getting cereal in a bag." About 5 minutes later, he goes, "Kiki, I want cereal in a bag." And I'm like, "Tristan, I just told you no." He said, "I will give you $1. And runs to his bedroom and is like, "Here," and brings me $1. I'm like, "Okay, you can have cereal."
I'll take that.
I end up giving it back to him because he helped me move some stuff around. But
that's how they get you.
Yeah, he was just like, "I'll pay you $1."
That's so funny. They're so funny. I told Keely, my son told me that his rap names are Little Cheeto and Little Rex, as in T-Rex. I cannot.
Kids are so silly.
I swear. Which, wonderful segue into this book that Keely made me read. Because I was like 3 minutes in and I text her and I said, "What in the world?" So, maybe we should do triggers first.
Yes.
Before even the blurb. So, triggers for this book.
Yes, I'm pulling. Okay. The biggest one is pedophilia, suicide, sexual assault, rape, suicidal ideations, child abuse, death, mental illness, grief, bullying, violence, forced institutionalism, incest, blood, drug abuse, medical trauma. That looks like gaslighting. Looks like the biggest. Yeah.
Okay. Well, You want to do the blurb?
I'll do the blurb. We forgive murderers, not pedophiles. Not since Lionel Shriver?
I don't know.
Anyways, not since Lionel brought us We Need to Talk About Kevin, has a writer delved into the complexities of a disturbed mother-son relationship until now. Meet Noah, an A honor roll student, award-winning swimmer, and a small-town star destined for greatness. There weren't any signs that something was wrong until the day he confesses to molesting little girls during swim team practice. He's sentenced to 18 months in a juvenile sexual rehabilitation center. His mother, Adrienne, refuses to turn her back on him despite his horrific crimes, but her husband won't allow Noah back into their home. In a series of shocking and shattering revelations, Adrienne is forced to make the hardest decision in her life. Just how far will she go to protect her son? Saving Noah challenges everything you think you know about teenage sexual offenders. It will keep you up all at night, long after you've read the last page, questioning beliefs you once thought were true.
Okay. So if you could describe this book in one word, what would you say?
I would say disturbed.
I'm going to say conflicted. Yeah, I don't know. So, general summary. Noah is 17. Like Keely said, great student, all these things. And he comes to his mom one day and basically tells her, or she kind of gets out of him, that he molested 2 girls. He was coaching. And he thinks he's a monster from the very beginning. He is disgusted with himself. He knows that he needs to be punished for his crimes. The mom is, to a fault, very, she goes about things in the weirdest way anyways, and oblivious in some ways, very much in denial. The dad immediately cuts him off and for all intents and purposes never ever opens up to him again. He goes away. He comes home to just his mom, and she tries to get him reacclimated into regular life, but their lives are completely changed. I mean, they live in the same community. Everything's on the internet. Everybody knows. And so he is treated as most people say most child molesters should be treated. If you get on Facebook, that's what people are always saying about child molesters. So the issue is that he is a child too. And yeah, so the mom is really conflicted, with dealing with him, trying to be supportive of him, but also not understanding why other people don't want to be as supportive of him. The family also has a younger daughter, so that's a big issue for the dad. But there's also a dark family past that doesn't come out until the very end. And it's just very conflicting, for so many different reasons, which I'll get into at the end of the episode. So, so we already did what do I want to call them? Triggers. So if you have not read this book and you don't wish to be spoiled, then this is your notice to pause here. Otherwise, I'm going to get into the book.
And before you start,
yes,
I do want to preface this by saying I have read other Lucinda Berry books.
Oh.
And they are all kind of a lot.
She's a Jodi Picoult.
She is actually a former psychologist, and mainly childhood trauma. So from what I've heard, she uses some pieces of cases that she's researched
to put them in.
Yeah, to kind of form around her books. So that's why a lot of this stuff is my stuff.
Yeah, I mean, because a lot of people will be like, why would an author write this? I think it's perfectly fine to write stuff like this. These are things that need to be read, and they're great conversation. It's presented in the correct way versus other things that we have talked about. So yeah, no, I don't dislike this book at all. for the, like I say I hate this book, but it's not because
the
book's bad. It's because like the feelings that it invokes in me, I don't like. So
and I think to everybody that I recommend this book to, I like to say that it's about Noah and, you know, what he did and how his family is coping. But I feel like overall it's more so about the mom and how how much she loves her son unconditionally despite everything. And how that can be, I don't know, not necessarily the best thing.
And I mean, Keely's like a mom by proxy. I am a mom. I have a son and I have a daughter. So yeah, like, I don't know. I don't know. But I am approaching it with those lenses when I'm reading this book. So, okay. So this is mostly in Adrian, the mom's POV, but we do get, Noah and the dad as well throughout this book. So we start with her, with the mom. So the like main, like immediately it's like Noah's 17 and he's going to whatever for sexually assaulting girls. And I was like, this lady's in denial. I was like, this lady's insane. That's when I texted Keely and I was like, what did I say? I'm going to have to pull it up. I was like, what in the world?
I definitely think her love clouds her judgment.
It definitely does. What did I say? When did I text you? The first thing I texted you was a quote. Okay. So she's in denial. At this point, like starting out, Noah's been in treatment, quote unquote, for a year because he doesn't end up going to like prison. He's close to being an adult and he could have been tried as an adult, but we'll get to that. So he went to like a treatment center and he's getting ready to come home, but the dad, Lucas, does not want him there because they have a 7-year-old, which is, or 8-ish. I don't think it ever says exactly how old Katie is, the daughter, but she's the same age basically of the girls that were molested. And so basically Adrian's like, okay, well she gets some rinky dink apartment. They're not getting a divorce, but Lucas is gonna stay with Katie. She's gonna get this apartment so that Noah can come home because dad's like, I mean, he can get emancipated. Like he's like, he can get out. Noah was great kid, straight A's, swimmer. Everyone knew them. They live in Chicago, near Chicago. She mentioned Chicago at some point because that's where that one friend lives. So they're
somewhere at least close-ish
around there. Yeah, drivable. And so, but it seems like a smaller community. And so essentially we kind of get this, like, it's not a linear timeline. So we learn that apparently Adrian and Lucas, because she told him to come to this, they basically had a dinner it was 2 girls with the girls' parents, invited them over. They didn't know why they were coming over because the girls never said anything to their parents about what happened. The girls also go to school with Katie, and they basically were like, hey, we want to talk about something that happened at the swim class. Lucas is like pouring shots. He's like, this is crazy. And they're like, why are we here? Like they're like, this is really weird. And so she's like, well, we can all, like, she doesn't say what it is. She just goes, well, all of our kids are going to need help. We'll pay for their therapist. And the parents are like, what do you mean? Like, why does my kid need a therapist? And she's like, I really like thought that we were going to be on the same team. Like, and I'm like, why would you think that? Because you're lucky no one punched you in the face. Because I would have lost my noggin. And so basically Noah molested them during their practice, but she couldn't say it because Lucas just like blurts it out because she's like, I can't say it. And Noah basically had told, or what she tells them is that Noah said they were like playing doctor, and Noah was just really confused, but it was innocent. And at this point, the parents don't know anything about this. And one of the moms even like almost believes her because she's like, I mean, is that all you said? Like, I mean, if that's just what they were doing, mind you, again, Noah is 17 and these girls are 7. And there was touching of private areas involved. So the dad is like, absolutely not. Let's go. Like, let's we're leaving right now. So they leave, and then I don't know if this is like a Friday or Saturday, but by Sunday the police show up and they have a warrant. They come in, and she's like, the police show up, and she's like, I didn't really view what Noah did as a crime. And I'm like, what? And at some point in here, this is when I text Keely, because I put, quote, he didn't rape them, he just touched them. I'm sorry. And she like also was like, well, he's better now. And I am a long-standing firm believer that there is no rehabilitation for that. Like, I have long since said that there is no rehabilitation for child molesters and pedophiles. That's just my own personal stance on it. So yeah, the police come, and she like blocks Katie's door so they don't go into her room by mistake, and they get Noah and take him out. And so of course gossip spreads, and everyone immediately like cuts the family off.
That was me.
Oh, okay. Everyone cuts the family off. And like she basically tries to get him to like keep going to school like a normal person. And one day he calls, he's like, you have to pick me up. And she's like, no, like you're fine, Noah. Like you can stay at school. He's like, I am bloody, because his entire swim team jumped him and the coach watched from the like office. Cause she's like, I'm going to go tell the coach. And he's like, he saw the whole thing.
I don't know why you would think that like, literally the whole town knows what happened, and you think that they're going to be okay with it.
They're not. Like, they're not. Oh my gosh. Like, you just sent him out there. Like,
threw him to the wolves.
Yeah. Even if he would have been like innocent, like while this is pending, like, oh my gosh, you just, yeah. And then you didn't like, oh, that's so traumatizing. And so I was just like, this one, I was like, I feel so bad for this family, but not for her. Because she was pissing me off so bad. Because she does not get it. Like, it's like she's not clicking. Like, it's not clicking for her. That, I mean, I don't know how. Because, like, if someone would have molested her child, she would have understood it very clearly. So it's like, you are being delusional. Like, so the dad, Lucas, he had like an accounting business, and he loses all his clients. He has to get another job, and they end up moving. Like, they stayed downtown, and she wanted to like stay in their house, but they come home like one day and someone had sprayed like baby raper on the door. So they had to move to like a smaller house. They had to take their kids to public school out of private school. They like basically drained their entire savings and retirement from this. So we go to Noah, and we don't like, this is some part of like his year basically, but like he basically like cries at night while he's in the facility. He's scared, and I was like, good. But he basically is like, I don't know how to talk to these kids. I've never hung out with bad kids before. Well, no, you're a bad kid. So yeah. And he has like one friend, his name is Ben, who's like pretty nerdy, but he's cool except for he doesn't shower. And he like just basically focuses on like not showing his fear while he's in there. So we go back to Adrian, and they basically tell Katie that they're going to like split up for like living, not getting a divorce. And of course she assumes that they're getting a divorce, which Adrian's kind of worried like that actually might end up being true. And of course Katie's really upset, and she's like, I don't understand. Noah would never hurt me. And she's like, Adrian's like, of course he would never hurt you. And the dad's pissed because like, you can't say that to her. And she thinks about how much she loved Noah. She actually never even wanted a second child for a long time because she couldn't imagine having enough love to love another child the way in which she loved Noah, because she loved him so much. But now she's like, I mean, she does have Katie. She loves Katie. And she's like, I can't imagine like now having to live like a year basically without her. And so basically when Noah went to jail that day, they found some lawyer. They felt like he was like pretty whacked out. He was basically like, he was drunk. He came in like jeans. But the lawyer wanted Noah to plead not guilty. And so when he ended that plea, and he like came home, and Noah was pretty pissed about it. But the lawyer explained to them like, well, if you would have pled guilty right then and there, you were in the adult system. And he's basically like, if we can get you to juvenile, then your case will be sealed, as a juvenile. And all he'll have to do basically is be on the registry for like 10 years. And then he could probably go to a treatment center and not go to prison, which Noah wants to go to prison. Like, Noah is like, I'm disgusting. I'm a monster. I deserve punishment. Like, that's Noah's whole thing. But he ends up taking a plea. He pled guilty to 4 counts, and he ended up getting sentenced to 18 months in a sex offender program. And then he has to do probation until he's 18, and then again register as a sex offender. So he goes to the house for quote unquote treatment. And Adrian, like, she feels better because they meet the specialist there. It's like, it's an actual like house kind of setting. And the specialist like doesn't just immediately think like Noah's a bad kid. And that makes Adrian feel better because everyone's always, immediately is like, oh, you're disgusting. You're a child molester. Like, and so the therapist or counselor or whatever there is not, judgmental, which, I mean, that's kind of their job. So, they shouldn't be. But, he's getting ready to come home now. So we're jumping back into the future time. And the counselor's concerned because he's getting out this week. And she's like, I don't know if he's ready. And she's like, what do you mean? Like, this is the end of it. He did everything. And she's like, well, he wants to write letters to the girls. Which, ding, 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 that is a bad idea.
Yeah.
Outside of the law, because the law has told him he cannot have contact with them, and the fact that they are still minors, and all of these other things, why do you want to talk to them? And she's like, I mean, why can't he just write them? I mean, they're just letters. Are you okay? If your daughter got molested, would you want him to write her letters? Like, come on. So she hangs up on the lady because she's like, I'm not hearing this. And I'm like, okay, crazy lady. So then we go back to Noah's POV. There was like a bully named Joe at the facility, and Joe, I think everyone at this facility is a child molester.
Yeah, I believe so.
But Joe is like, he doesn't like it when they attack their female family members or females. Mm-hmm. So, so Joe basically rapes the boys. And so this one kid had like kind of picked on Joe, and he basically rapes him in the shower, and they're all in there, and they have to like be in the shower like the full amount of time. It's like 7 minutes. So Noah's just like standing under the shower, like hoping the time goes by. And then Joe, like after he does it, he like smacks Noah on the butt and is like, you didn't see anything, and like walks off. And I'm like, and like the guards know, like nobody does anything. And Noah says it later. He's like, it's so like basically like audacity because like, Joe, you're also a rapist, like, and you continue to do it over and over again to everyone in here. So we go back to Adrian, and she tells Noah, that that her and Lucas are separating because she doesn't want him to know that they're not separating. His dad just doesn't want him to come home. And she like thinks back about how Noah had started coaching before all this happened. And he was coaching the swim team. He really enjoyed it. And then he just came home one day and was like, I quit. And everybody was like, what? And he's like, yeah, I can't do it anymore. I have too much going on. But then after that, he started being really strange, really quiet, real secluded. He stopped showering. And so that's when she got him to talk. Like, she was like, what is up? And he like broke down. And she thought he was going to say, like, I'm on drugs, which, like, please let that be the problem, please. But he told her that instead. And so she was literally like, I'm trying not to, like, lose my cool, because what? But he tells her, like, he just couldn't help himself. He tried not to. And he basically ends up saying, like, it's later in the book, but he basically had felt this way since he was in the 7th grade. So 13, 14. So it's been, like, 4 years. He's been suppressing it. And he's, like, basically what happened was, like, the girl, they were in the pool, and he like, first it was like, I think he says this later, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it now. First it was like, he just liked them, like in a friendly way. Like he was like, oh, they're cute. And then like, he noticed that he was attracted to them, and he knew something was wrong. But he would like be in the pool, and he was like, well, I can't get out of the pool because then everybody's going to see, like, whatever. So then he was in the pool, like working with them one day, and essentially one of the girls like touched him on accident. And was like, what's that? And it kind of just went from there. So, yeah. And so he's like, I couldn't stop. He's like, I knew I never should have took this job, but I couldn't stop, and I quit. And so she's like, have you ever touched Katie? And I'm like, oh, because you act like when Lucas said that, like that was just not a possibility. And that was the first thing out of your mouth. But okay. And then he like reaches for his mom, and she flinches, and she like regrets that so much because she's like, oh my God, like I left him kind of like hanging in his time of need. So after that, she made him go tell Lucas. Lucas literally gets up and like throws up, and he literally leaves, comes right back, and is putting a lock on Katie's door like immediately. And then he ends up sleeping on the floor of Katie's room like after that. And he just stops talking to Noah. Like he would talk around Noah, like if he was not acknowledging Noah until ever, honestly. And basically now that he's home, he still is treating him like that. So Lucas and Katie come over to the apartment for dinner, and he basically just like, again, acts like Noah's not there. And he like will not leave Katie's side. And Noah tells his mom, like, I do miss dad. Like, I miss my dad. And so we go back to Noah for a little bit, and there's a boy that tries to kill himself because Joe rapes him. So a lot of things are happening to those boys. And back with Adrienne, she is like, maybe I should like call one of Noah's old friends. Again, she thinks that she's going to call one of the friends from the swim team, whose mom forbade Noah from ever speaking to her son again. And also, Noah has to remind her that the team jumped him. And this friend didn't jump him, but they just stood there and watched. So she's like, well, I wonder if enough time has passed.
She acts like what he did wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, she acts like they egged, like TP'd their yard. I mean, I'm sorry. I think most people don't ever forget that, and they talk about it, especially in smaller communities. Like, we're never going to forget it. Like, hey, you remember when that thing happened? Oh my God, that was crazy. Like, I still talk about, like, crazy news things that happens around here, and it's been 10 years.
Yeah, it's not like he cut their hair off or something.
Yeah.
Like,
he did, like, one of the top abysmal crimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, luckily she does not do that because, oh, dear God. And so, you know, Katie loves Noah. She's coming over like 3 times a week after school. And Katie goes, I know what he did. And she says, I don't care if he touches me. I'm not afraid of him. Can't everyone just forgive him? And I'm like, this poor sweet baby.
Yeah.
Obviously no one's told her. So no, the parents. So like some people at school are probably talking about it. And yeah. So Katie is like, can I spend the night? And Lucas is like, absolutely not. And she basically, Adrienne just calls and she's like on the phone. Katie's in front of her and she's like, oh, you said great? Okay, well, I'll drop her off in the morning, and just hangs up on him, knowing that this is not the agreement. So she's like, I'm going to sleep in the bed with her. But then she sleeps in the bed with Katie and literally can't sleep all night because she's worried about her son. And she's like struggling with the fact that she's worried about her son doing something to her daughter. So then, of course, she drops Katie off the next morning, and he tells her, Lucas is like, if you ever pull that again, I talked to a lawyer last night, and I will take action against you. I do not trust you. And I didn't blame him for that.
Yeah.
So, and she just tells him, like, I love her. Like, I'm just trying to keep our family together. And Lucas says, no, you don't. You don't love her. You love Noah more than you love Katie. And he says, we're not a family. So Noah basically, like, re-enrolled in school because he's technically at a new school. But he's not doing well. And he says he's like struggling, but it's like easy work. Like, it's not that. And she's like, well, maybe like you can go swimming again, which I'm like, must we pick all the triggers? Like, maybe not swimming, maybe a different sport. Maybe not that. She's like, but you always just love the pool. Yeah, but he also, like, the worst thing of his life happened in the pool. Oh my gosh. Also, why is he not like actively doing counseling during this whole time?
Right.
Like, I get that you're done with that.
It should be mandatory.
You should be weekly, like, seeing a counselor. Like,
yeah.
He's a child. Like, even an adult. But, like, he also is a child. Like, he needs to be somebody that's not his mom. Because this lady's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And so she's like, well, I'll go swimming with you, even though I hate the pool. So she, like, is like, we can go to the Y. She gets a swimsuit. But she comes home one day, and he's, like, locked. He's, like, secluded again. And he's like, just, like, leave me alone. So she goes in there, and he is beaten up again. And because he had been telling her there was, like, a guy at the school that was kind of picking on her and basically tried to figure it out, but they beat him bad. Like, they broke some bones. Like, he was all messed up. So she takes him to the hospital. And Lucas comes, but she kicks him out. She's like, you don't care about him. You don't have any support for him. Like, just leave. And like, so there's a child psychologist that talks to him there because, he's a child still. So they have to look at it as like, abuse. And she's like, the lady's like, like, why would they do this to him? And so she lies because she's like, I don't want to tell her why, because then she'll immediately turn her nose up at him. And like, so I lie. So after that, like, Noah just starts spending all his time in his room again. And like he finds out there's like a Facebook page that calls him like Noah the baby raper. And I was like, at this point I was like, I hate this book. I don't want to feel bad for him. Cause I don't don't want to feel bad for him. Like, So Lucas shows up one day and he's basically like, I'm trying, like, I want to like try whatever. But she's like, no, you're not. Like, I don't want to hear it. Leave, basically. But he tells her like, you are also like, he's like, you're minimizing what he did. You are minimizing it. And he says, Noah is broken and you cannot fix that. And he says, you know how I know? Because I'm a man and a man should not have those thoughts. So we go back to Noah and he's like wishing that his mom would like not visit him because, and I hear this from people who go to prison all the time. it is very, I don't understand. And I don't understand when, because I've been around people who have like people who call all day, every day, like from jail and from prison. And I'm like, why? Because other people will tell you, like, it is so depressing to be in, like, to be in prison. Like, you're like calling, like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, I'm at the bar. I'm at the movies. Like, and you're like, oh, well, I'm in cell block 5 or whatever. Like, that's so, and so a lot of times people will cut themselves off. Like, and so he's like, I kind of wish my mom would stop coming because like she's just a constant reminder of like the outside world that I cannot participate in. And it's like easier for me just to forget that than to constantly see you every day. And I've heard several people say that. And so he also had to tell her like, cause she would come and like cried. And he's like, you have to stop doing this and stop kissing on me and doing all this stuff because like they're going to think I'm a mama's boy and they're going to get me. So like I have to be tough in here. So back with Adrian, the counselor or whatever from the treatment facility tells her like, well, maybe like as a friend, you could reach out to one of the kids that's been here before, whose name is Rick. And Noah's like, originally he's pissed. He's like, I don't know. Like, why would you do that? But Rick like lives nearby. That's why he's in Chicago, I think. So like they're close to there. So they go and pick him up and he's going to spend the night. And she's like, oh, because like Rick is like, he don't even speak to her. He like cusses in front of her, but he has a phone and she's like, well, they're not supposed to have phones. And I'm like, is that the law? I don't really know about that, but so he has a phone, so he like downloads video games and like Noah actually like laughs and like plays and all these things. And so she's like, maybe I should get him a phone, but like monitor it or whatever. So the next, like she comes home and Noah literally is like throwing up everywhere. And then he's like in the bathroom and he is like pooping everywhere. Like it is like a mess. So she's like, oh my gosh. And she's like trying to clean it up. But then she finds his empty Percocet bottle from when he just got released from the hospital. And he's like, I took everything that was left. And he basically was like, she's like, are you trying to kill yourself? And he's like, no, like I don't want to feel anything. So she's like, I've got to figure something out. So she gets Lucas to like have them over for dinner and she tells him like what happened. And she's like, please just talk to him. Like basically like lie. Tell him that you love him. Like just please do something. And she's like, he's trying to kill himself. Do you care if he kills himself? Or she's like, you don't care. And he's like, yes, I do. But he clearly does not care. So Lucas comes out and he's like, hey, Noah, let me talk to you. And so Noah's like, oh, like he literally like looks happy. But then when he comes back, he just looks like, meh, like whatever. So that night, goes to bed. She wakes up, middle of the night, and Noah has hung himself off of the balcony of their apartment. So she's like screaming. There's other people screaming and like the EMTs come and they're able to get him up or whatever. And he goes to the hospital and he does not die. So go back to Noah. He's still in the treatment facility in his flashbacks. And he's like talking about how his dad never comes to see him. He's actually like starting to forget what his dad looks like. And he's afraid like of getting out because he does not want to do it again. And he feels like he will molest another child or worse. So Adrian, like they had to fly him to the hospital. So his heart stopped while they were in the helicopter. He like was probably like he was intubated and all these things in the ICU. Again, she does not let Lucas come. And then he's basically like, he goes from like, ICU, progressives, med surge, that's all step down from medicine. But he's going to go to the inpatient psych after this because that's where he needs to go. So she goes home, like finally, when he finally gets to like the psych unit, she finally starts going home and she finds his suicide note. And he basically apologizes to the whole family. And he tells her like, I hope you're not the one that finds me. And he loves her and dad and Katie, but he says, I'm a monster. I'm a pedophile. I can't be fixed and you don't deserve this. And this is where he like tells her that he's been having these feelings since he was in 7th grade. He's like, this sickness just won't leave me alone. He's like, I want to die. I wish I could die. This is a suicide note. So he's like, I want to die. He's like, do not bury me. Don't have a service. I want to be cremated. Like, don't waste the money and the time. So then the counselor from the facility that he was in previously calls and Adrian tells her about the note. And she just says like, basically like, I was afraid of this. And she's like, what? And she's like, basically she knew that he was a true pedophile. So she's like, a lot of kids aren't like Noah. She's like, Noah was very accepting from the get-go. He was very accepting of it. And other kids aren't. Like other kids are, for lack of a better word, like growing, going through a weird time. She's like, some of them don't know how to talk to girls their age, so that's kind of what happens, or maybe they're struggling with their sexuality, things like that. But she's like, none of that is really true for Noah. He truly is attracted to children, and he can't control it the same way that you and I can't control who we're attracted to. Like, it truly is like a mental disorder. And she's like, it's really rare to find that in a child. And so Adrian's like really struggling. Like, before this, she was like, they would go to church and stuff, and now she's like, I don't even know if I believe in God anymore. Like, why would this happen? And this is so messed up, because she goes to talk to the priest, and he's like, I think you need to find a new parish. And like, he barely doesn't even want to talk to her. And he's like, yeah, well, I gotta go. And I'm like, God, the church. Every time. So she goes to see Noah in the psych facility, and he's on suicide watch, and he like rarely talks right now, which like at first they were like, we don't know if this is because he died basically, or he's choosing to do this, but he kind of snaps on her and basically says like, you don't understand me. And he's like, I wanted to die. And he says, he basically kind of tells her more about how he like figured this out. He's like, overnight, like all of my friends got girl crazy, but not me. He was like, I didn't understand it. And then he was like, I thought I was gay. And he's like, God, I wish I was gay. Like, he wishes it was that. But then he saw the elementary kids on the bus when they went to school. And he was like, again, at first he was like, oh, they're cute. And then he was like, I want to be friends with them. But then it started to turn sexual. And he says, every night I pray to God that God would take this away. And he says, I was never attracted to Katie. But he said, again, when he was in the pool, he would get aroused by holding them. And one of the girls noticed, and she touched him, and that's kind of how that happened. And he said after it happened, he came home and he like laid in his room, and he was like trying to will himself to kill himself, but he couldn't. So then he was like, maybe I can be locked up. And he says like, when she had Rick come, the friend, that made it worse for him, because he was like so happy when he was like, oh, I'm going to go get treatment. Because when he got to the treatment center, they were like, we're going to do therapy, we can make this better. He was like, oh, there's like hope, but there's not. And he's like, seeing Rick made it worse, because now Rick is like normal, I guess. Like, he's got a girlfriend and like whatever. He's like, I'm not different. Like, I'm not fixable. And she's like, what did your dad tell you? Because him and Lucas would not tell her what happened in that conversation they had before he tried to commit suicide. And he finally says, like, basically, Lucas was like, I want you to run away. I will give you money to run away, and I will pay for you to live in California or wherever until you're 21, and then like you're on your own, basically. And he says, I was going to do it too. Like, he was like, I was okay with what Dad said, but he was like, he's afraid of doing it again. Like, he doesn't want to go out there and do it again. And he tells her, like, I'm going to commit suicide again. Like, he's like, I'm going to do this. And so she's like, I have to find a way to keep him in the hospital. So she goes to the doctor, and she's like telling her all this stuff. And the doctor's basically like, it's normal to be anxious about him coming home. Like, he's not coming home today. Then they basically kind of like blow her off. So back to Noah. He's basically learning ways to not think about it except in his sleep. Like, he can't control what happens in his sleep. And he just wishes he could like move away and just start over. So we go back to Adrian, and Noah like advances. So he's not on suicide watch anymore, but he's still in the facility. And he asked her, like, if I was dying from cancer and I wanted to commit suicide, would you support me? Would you help me? And Adrian also is a nurse. She doesn't work as a nurse, but she was a nurse. And he tells her, like, because she's like, why are you talking like this? All these things. And he's like, you don't know what they did to me. And he tells her that day when she found him at home beaten up, he says, like, they didn't just beat me with a bat, because he had been beaten with a bat. And he says, they raped me. They just used like the smaller end of the bat. And she thinks about how like he had blood all over him on his pants, and he was walking weird. And he tells her, like, I want to die with dignity. And so she agrees she's going to help him. So meanwhile, while all this is going on, like, things are not good for Katie. Katie has like started regressing. She's bedwetting. So Adrian goes and spends the night with Katie at Lucas's house. And Noah ends up getting released, and he like is coming home, and he's like, oh, good. Are we going to do it today? Like, he's like, you got all the stuff? And she's like, no, like, I'm not going to do it today. Cause she's like basically thinking of like all the way. She's like, suicide's actually not that easy. People think like, I'll just take all these pills, but a lot of times their body naturally makes them throw it up. So like, you have to like, to have all these steps to do this. So she basically reaches out to like her therapist or whatever and is like, I'm not sleeping, like all these things with Noah, because I think she only had like Ambien and like something else. So she's like, I need something stronger. And I don't even remember what he ends up giving her. So she gets the stuff and they basically have this whole plan. So he writes letters for Katie and Lucas, and he has like a playlist. It's the Beatles. This is so sad. And she crushes up all the pills, and she gives him the anti-nausea medicine and the pills, and she gives him the meds, and she lays in the bed with him, and like the Beatles start playing, and she's like, I thought this playlist was gonna be like down, but this is like more upbeat. And she's like, this playlist is for me. And she just like holds him, and like his breathing like starts like getting less, and then he just passes away. And I'm like, that is so sad. I'm gonna cry. Like, I'm like, that is like the saddest thing. I could never, as a mom, like I could never imagine doing something like that. Like, I just, not that I'm like, I mean, assisted suicide and that happened. I don't have an opinion on that. But like me personally doing that with my own kid. Yeah. I just, oh my gosh, like, yeah, that's so sad. And she asked him like multiple times, like, are you sure you want to do this? And he's like, yes, 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 he wants to do this. And I'm just like, oh my God. So, final POV is Lucas. And Lucas is like, I'm not sad that he's dead, because Lucas is a child molester. Yep. Or was, maybe not actively. He literally did the same thing. And nobody knows that. So you are the cause of this, and you treated your son like that, knowing exactly what it feels like. And he basically was like, I hated Noah because he reminded me so much of myself. And basically Lucas he did the same thing to his cousins. Like they were, I don't know, they grew up like on a farm or something, and they were like playing. And his dad stopped talking to him as well. But his mom loved him. And they end up getting Katie into therapy, and she just like carries Noah's letter around with her. And Adrian moves back in, but they are not together. They're basically just in the house together for Katie's sake. They sleep in different bedrooms. She does not regret helping Noah. She actually regrets now that she's like moving on. She feels so guilty. Like one day she was doing something with Katie, and she realized that she hadn't thought about Noah in like 5 minutes. And she's like, oh my God, like my son. And she does end up like finding God again, because in her mind, it's basically like that comforts her knowing that she will see Noah again one day. And that is how the book ends.
That's that.
So, what did you rate it?
I rated it 4 stars.
That's what I gave it.
It was a good... It's weird saying it.
I know, it's a bad topic, but
yes,
it's a good book.
But it is a good book. I wasn't expecting what I got going into it, because this was my first Lucinda Berry book, and everything that I heard was, 1, short book. 2, that it made a lot of people cry reading it, and I was like, how? How does this book make you cry? And I found out when I read it that it does elicit emotions that I was not expecting it to. Emotions that I was expecting, but a lot that I wasn't. Yeah. Was so angry at the big reveal about the dad. At the end, I literally almost threw my Kindle because I was like, are you, after all that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just abandoned him. And I don't know, like, I feel like we can say a lot of things on the outside, like, I would never, da-da-da-da. And I don't like to be in absolutes. Mm-hmm. I just, like, I do feel bad for Noah, and I hate saying that because I am like a pedophile hater. Like, I'm like, prison, see ya, don't, like, and I have, and I still stand by that after this book. I guess the silver lining, I guess, with Noah is that he was very self-aware, and I appreciate that of him. I wish there was a place that he could have stayed in.
Yeah.
A facility that he could have stayed in, that he was safe in. Because obviously that wasn't the case. And like going to prison for the rest of your life, like, I mean, maybe he should go for the rest of his life too. But I mean, he is going to. And that's the thing about prison. Like, the whole thing about prison is supposed to be rehabilitation. Well, nobody's getting rehabilitated when they're literally in fight or flight mode.
Yeah.
But I'm like, he is a child. And his dad sucks. Like, I don't know that is genetic. But if this were, like, the conversation we're having, like, yeah, you definitely failed your son.
Yeah.
Also, I'm married to a pedophile, and I don't know it.
And you are all, like, freaking out about not wanting Noah to be around
Katie, and she's around you.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, you're absolutely no better. You're absolutely no better.
And out of the two of you, Noah went to a facility to at least,
Yeah, try and get treatment. And he was never attracted to his sister. I mean, we don't know. That could always change. But it's like,
right.
For those intents and purposes.
And dad was incest. Like, incestual.
Yeah, like those. Yeah, and it's like, and as a mom, like, God, like, part of me wants to be like, yeah, if my kid does something horrendous, like, I would never speak to them again, because how could you? But I'm also their mom, like,
yeah.
And I can't, especially at that age. It's not like Noah was 35.
Right.
Like, he still is your child and your baby, and you weren't expecting him to not be. I don't necessarily feel like she didn't love Katie.
Yeah.
I just feel, I mean, in this situation, I don't know.
I don't feel like she didn't love her. I just feel like she loved Noah too much.
Yeah.
And I hate saying too much, because, like, how much love is too much.
Yeah.
But to the extent that her thinking wasn't sound.
It wasn't. Why didn't you move? Like, far away. Why would you live in the same city?
Yeah.
Like, that was, you set, and you love him so much, but you set him up so many times.
Yeah.
You kept trying to force him into, like, you know how people treat pedophiles. Like, you cannot just reintegrate with society.
I feel like she was trying to force the
normal.
Yes, everything is normal. Everything's fine. We're this, we're that, and not taking into account the trauma of, the girls.
Yeah.
The trauma of Noah, because, I mean, he was a perpetrator, but there's still some...
Yeah, there's issues.
And then, you're forcing him into situations where he is traumatized.
And he's trying to tell you, like, I don't want to do that. And you're just like, well, he could just be normal. He could just be... And like, no, he can't. And people don't want to be around your son.
It's like the Salem witch trials. You know your kid is a witch, and you're just throwing them out into the crowd of witch hunters.
Yeah, it's like... Yeah, it's just like, you're delusional. Dad's ridiculous. Like, Noah didn't have any real support. Like, no. I mean, you were there to talk to him and, like, related to him on those things, but you, like, were just, like, choosing to be oblivious about a lot of things. And that could have changed things. Like, maybe he wouldn't have wanted to kill himself.
And I love that you brought up the counseling thing, because...
Why was he not going to counseling? Like, at least...
And I feel like it should have been, like, mandatory with...
The probation, like, okay, you should be doing this for the next year, like, whatever. And it's like, yeah, he needs help. Like, he needed help. And not to say to fix it, but he just needed, like, ongoing help.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, like, as, like, having a daughter and then having a son, like, one of my biggest fears is for something to happen to my daughter, but also for my son to be in a situation where I feel like some people also get falsely accused, and that's just like rape. I'm not talking about child molestation, but like, it's just like, I don't know. It's just like a crazy situation, but I can't say that I would just abandon my kid, even though like, I want to be like, yeah, I would never tolerate that. Like, I would be like, I would cut that off. Like, I would, cause no, but I can't say that. Like, I can't, you don't know until you go through that, unfortunately, if you have to deal with that. And it's just like, but yeah. And there's absolutely no way I could have assisted my son with that.
No.
Like, that made me emotional. Like, that is so sad. That is just so sad. And I mean, I get it. Like, I'm glad that she did. Like, that was a very comforting in, and she says that, like, I'm not leaving here unanswered. Like, she had all her questions answered versus if he, like, just committed suicide at some other point. But...
And I couldn't live with myself knowing that, you know, because of my help, you know, he did that.
And I just, that's just hard. And, like, it's not for me, at least. Like, I mean, even if my kid had cancer, like, I don't think that I could do that. Like, whatever the situation is, I don't think I could do that because I just can't do that. No. Like, I don't ever want to be in the situation where I have to tell someone, like, turn the plug, like, turn off the machines or, like, that is just such a hard position to be in. And I get it because I'm medical and I see people go through that all the time. And so I understand. But, I don't know. I mean, it's a very, like, thought-provoking book. My mom has worked in, like, juvenile probation for a very long time and, like, with juveniles and stuff. And she refuses to work with sex offenders because she doesn't feel like she can be unbiased towards them. And it's very hard. I can be unbiased, but it internally is hard. So like, with nursing and stuff, like, I hate when people tell me things about patients. Like, I had a patient in a nursing home once, and he was the most pleasant guy ever, and I had worked there for, like, a month, and then someone was like, oh, yeah, he's on the registry, like, da-da-da, and I'm like, and then every morning I was just like, ugh. Like, I just, I was just, like, be in and out of there, like, and I'm like, just don't tell me, like, just don't tell me. So I get, like, being in this community, like, I don't think anybody's right or wrong, like, I mean, obviously, like, jumping him, but it's hard. Like, we have personal morals and ethics. So, like, I don't judge the people on the street for being like, I don't want nothing to do with you guys. Like, you know? So, very, very difficult situation. So, all right. Do we have reviews?
Oh, we sure do. So, out of, oh my gosh, my eyes burn. So, this book runs at a 3.92 stars for over 126,000 ratings. So that's a pretty good rating for how many there are. Almost 4 stars. 32% at 5 stars and 2% at 1 star, which that's a bigger percentage than what we normally get. But given the book, you know, I get it. I believe it was well written, for sure. Anyways, so our 5 stars. Oh, that's long. This person said, 5 stars. I'm going to need a stiff drink after that. 5 stars. This book is insane. This book takes a situation that you would say, oh, I know exactly what I would do, and literally puts you inside of it and makes you rethink everything you ever thought you knew. Yep. This was a tough read. Check your triggers, especially if you are a parent. But overall, I love, love, love books that challenge my thinking and make me rethink what I think I'd do. Lucinda Berry does it again, and by it, I mean terrifies me for when my kids get older.
Yeah. 100% agree.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Okay. 1 star. So you can tell that books are an art, and art is subjective. But I'm not reading this whole one, but it just says 1 star, what garbage. I can't believe how many people bought into romanticizing and condoning sexual offenders. Most of the 4 or 5 star ratings are raving about the mother's love, Adrian's devotion to Noah, blah, blah, blah. Not me. I was sitting quietly in the corner disgusted. Absolutely. I was disgusted.
Yeah, I was disgusted.
But I don't know. Kind of what I swear my eyes are like...
I know.
First review said, you know, challenging your thinking. It's very... I don't know. And another 1 star, not sure what the author's intention was with this, but I will never feel sympathy for a pedophile, just know. Also, the mom was horrible and tried to justify his behavior the entire book. disgusting. Yeah, she did try to justify.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's that.
Well, yeah, this was thought-provoking.
For sure.
For sure. So, I would read more by her.
Yeah.
She's a
Jodi
Picoult.
But she's good.
I don't know if Jodi Picoult ever wrote about like this situation, but she writes
They're
those like
all
moral dilemmas.
Mm-hmm, and they're all like darker.
Yeah.
One of Us is a really good one. And it's narrated by AJ Cook. She plays JJ in Criminal Minds.
Oh.
So that was a fun listen for me. But
okay. Well, our next book is not lighter hearted, I don't believe. It's What the Woods Took.
no, it is not.
By Courtney Clark.
It is not. Hold on to your butts because it gets.
But
creepy.
after that, it'll be a romance. So I got another dark and whatever. I'm not reading the blurb, but I saw that it.
I was a little freaked out a bit, but
it was in the horror category.
Creepy things in the woods scare me.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's our next read. So after that, there will be sunshine and rainbows.
And just for a little bit.
All right. Well, this is all we've got. So we will talk to you all next week. Bye.
Bye.